Hey guys, Louis D here. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are not kayak fishing, but I'm going to do a little quick video on replacing the AC compressor on a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee. And it's not easy, but it seems fairly straightforward. On the compressor unit here, we have two 15 millimeter sockets, one on each side, and back here a 13 millimeter. And basically you remove that, pop out the compressor, and then do the associated repairs. What I first did is I went to a shop and had them discharge the system, so I don't have to worry about the recovery of the R134. So the very first step that we're gonna do is take off the serpentine belt, and over here is a 15 millimeter socket on the tensioner, and you simply apply pressure to that, turn it towards the right, it will loosen the belt and it pops right off, and then I can proceed to removing the compressor itself. Once that's done and I detach the hoses here, I'm going to have to replace the accumulator slash dryer, which is situated here, and it has a line that goes back to the firewall, and it looks like it's connected by a 13 millimeter socket as well. And the other line, the high pressure line, runs all the way up here to the front by the coils, and that also is a 13 millimeter. So I'm gonna have to remove the front grill on here to get that done. Now it looks like the accumulator is attached by two 10 millimeter bolts on this side. So to make things easy, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the reservoir here, and I'm gonna go ahead and move the battery and the battery holder that'll give me access to the bolts that I need to remove this, because it's kind of cumbersome. It runs all underneath the battery and may make it a little difficult to do if I don't remove the battery. So let's get to it. All the bolts are off, and you just have to disconnect the electrical red up front and pull out the compressor. Okay, with the compressor out, what I would need to do next is to make sure I fill the new compressor with the PAG 46 oil that is designed for my vehicle, and that's written in the back of the compressor. And the charts have that I should have 4.6 ounces of the lubricant oil, which came with the kit that I bought. I bought the complete set, but looking in the back of the compressor, it actually already contains 200 milliliters. Now 237 milliliters is 8 ounces, so I won't need to use my my refrigerant oil here, because it already contains it. In the event that it did not have that, what I would need to do is go ahead and take off the cap, because actually the back of this is sealed, and remove this. And what you want to do normally is just after removing the cap, go ahead and pour the lubricant oil from the oil compressor into a measuring container. That way you could see exactly how much lubricant was in the compressor. And then I would have to remove this top. These look like T27 bolts. Remove it and fill it up. Actually, this one has the ability here to take off this bolt and pour the lubricant right in. But as I mentioned, it already comes with 200 milliliters of it. That's about 4 ounces, a little bit over 4 ounces or so. And the recommendations for my vehicle is 4.5 ounces, so I'm good to go. I'll just need to go ahead and put this back in, attach the hoses, and then move on to the accumulator / dryer. Alright, so I'm gonna put the compressor back in and see you in a bit. Okay, so I've got the compressor almost totally back in. I just wanted to give you a quick tip. When putting back, of course, the bolts, it's easier for you if you go ahead and start to thread the bolts, but don't tighten down on them until you have them all in. It just makes it a little bit easier if you need to shake the compressor and make some adjustments for it to go in better. And also, I bought the kit that came with all my O-rings, so I took the opportunity, even though they did not look worn, I went ahead and changed the O-rings on here. The car's 12 years old, and I figured I have it, I might as well do it. So that's also a good idea. And in putting these things back, what I'm gonna do is not use this actually this was a T30 and not a T27. If you don't know what that is, it's the little star bits. Alright, so I went ahead and I'm gonna use the original bolts, the 10 millimeter that came on here. They fit perfectly. Just in the future, for somebody, if they don't have the tool, it'll be just easier to use a regular 10 millimeter and get the job done rather than having a special tool. So if they fit properly, it's the exact fit, so I'm going to use them instead of the ones that came with it, these T30 special tool deals. I don't think I'm going to be doing this job again, but for the future owner, just make it easy on them. Alright, so now I'm going to attach the hoses back, and then we're going to move to take out the accumulator. But like I said before, I'm going to have to remove the battery holder, probably this reservoir here. And I don't think I need to move this ECU, but if I do, it's only 2 10 millimeter bolts if I have to do that to access the accumulator. So let me finish with this and I'll be back. So everything is back in and tightened properly. So now I'm just going to put back the serpentine belt. It's a good idea whenever you're doing something like this, when you remove the belt, to check it for cracks. This is actually a brand new belt that I put on a couple of days ago when the compressor ceased and broke the belt. So there's gonna be somewhere where you can see the configuration for the belt. It's pretty easy, and just follow that. And as I mentioned before, the tensioner is right here. It's a 15 millimeter. You just put the socket on that to go this way to the right, and then slip the belt it's easy for me. I always do it on the alternator. I find that to be the easiest. After I wrap everything around, just pull it and wrap it around that. But whatever works for you, works for you. And so I'm gonna get that on, and then I can start working in this area here. See you soon. So we are progressing nicely. I've been able to remove this connection for the accumulator back here, and it's, you know, it just pops out. I thought it was a 13 millimeter, but it was actually a 14 millimeter. And this is the 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. So, and then the hose kind of just hangs here like that, you know. Now, I do have a replacement for that piece that you see back there. And so, and it looks like it's, let me see if I can get down here. Yeah, it looks like it uses two probably T25 bolts to fasten to the firewall there. So once I get that out, I'm going to go ahead and replace the red O-ring that you see there. It's always a good idea to replace the rings whenever you're doing any job involving rings. As you can see, I had to remove the reservoir. It moved it out of the way to give me access to the 10 millimeter bolt here on the accumulator. Now there is another 10 millimeter bolt just right there. It's a little dark so you can't see it, but where that hose goes down, there's another 10 millimeter there. And it's a shame that I don't have a longer attachment, because I can actually go straight down. It's just, I could have done that without having to remove the battery, but it is what it is. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the battery and remove that attachment, and then restore this piece here to the firewall, put the new one on, and then I'll have to disconnect the hose in the front here by the grill. Okay, so I'm gonna take out the battery and we'll see you soon. As you can see, we are progressing nicely. I'm only on 2 beers, but took out the battery, and maybe now you could see it. Right through this hole here was this 10 millimeter nut. Now, somebody ought to make a law. I mean, just to get this out, if they had just used another bolt to tie that down, I'd be done. I'd be able to pull it out and call it a day. But what they did is they took this battery plate, and it's a bolt down there, and that sits in it, and then the battery plate sits right on top of that, and you can't remove it without removing this entire plate, just to lift it up and to be able to lift this out from the nut. What a crocker. Anyway, so I'm gonna do that now. Pull these bolts out, remove the plate, and pull this bad boy out, unscrew it up front, and replace the new one, and that should be it. See you soon. As you can see, I have this detached now because I lifted this a little bit, the battery plate. I have not removed it all the way. I want to see if I could get away with not having to do that, since the fuse terminal here is kind of attached to it, and it looks like it would be a pain in the ass to detach and reset and all that. So it's totally loose, and it'll come out. And so I came up here and took off the grill. The grill's very easy, no tools required to remove the grill. There are a couple of attachments. They just clip on here, and on the bottom. So once you pry those off, the grill comes right off. And again, 13mm bolt that goes here. This is the other end to that accumulator. I'll have that removed in a second, and that'll be done. Okay, so everything is back in. The coolant reservoir is back, the battery is back. Just an idea, when you're putting back the battery, make sure you go ahead and clean the terminals since you already have them off. It's always a good idea to do that. So that's back, everything is tightened back there, and up front it's on where it's supposed to be, and all I gotta do is put the grill back on, and that's it. One thing that I wanted to mention is that when I started the video, I told you that this compressor came pre-lubed with 200 milliliters of the PAG 46 fluid that comes for this vehicle. But in looking in this is a good place, by the way, Tech Choice Parts. A lot of good information from these guys. And so I looked up my vehicle, and that's where I got the oil capacity charts for it. And remember, I said that it required 4.6 ounces. And of course, besides the compressor coming pre-filled with 200 milliliters, it came with an 8-ounce bottle, which is 237 milliliters. So what I did is I just went in here, really, because I wasn't sure, as it tells you on the bottle, make sure the instructions from the automotive manufacturer must be followed. So I wasn't sure if the 200 milliliters for the compressor, or if it has in general to do with my vehicle. I'm not a mechanic. I just follow instructions and do things. That's it. So what I did is, since 8 ounces is 237 milliliters, I just opened up here before I installed it. I opened it up and poured about 3 ounces out. So if worst comes to worst, I just have a little bit excess of the 4.6 ounces. I might have 5 ounces in there, which is not a big deal compared to having close to 8.7. So I just thought I'd mention that, and that's pretty much it. The only thing I need to do now is to connect the manifold gauge set onto there, and zero out the pressure, and then using a vacuum pump, of course, and then to add the refrigerant. But I don't have an air compressor with me at the house, so I'm gonna head over to my cousin's house. He's down the block, and he has a compressor. He's one of the top Audi mechanics down here in South Florida. Check him out at ernieTech@gmail.com if you have an Audi and need any help. He's awesome with that. In any event, like I said, I'm only on 3 beers, so I'm gonna shut down production here for now and just move over to Ernie's, where I could use the air compressor to connect to the thingamajigs and get her done. Alright, so I'm gonna put all this stuff away, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so I'm at my cousin's house, and I've attached the manifold gauges. Running the system. Remember I told you he was an
Audi. Two Audis.
He is, you know,
Third
there is
Audi.
similarities with Kane because he is,
And it's a real mechanic's mechanic. He also rides. And of course, any good mechanic's got to have a fridge with lots of beer. Maybe I'll finish those 12s. And if all else fails, there's always vodka back there. So anyway, I'm running the compressor. And I'm gonna let it run for about half an hour is what it says, just to get it to the manufacturer's settings. We're getting there. Once that's complete, I'm gonna go ahead and fill it with the R134s. Now, Jeep Grand Cherokee recommends 27 pounds, 27 ounces. So I've got 3 cans here. They're each 12 ounces. So I'm just gonna run 2 and then a third, and I'll have a little bit left over. Maybe in a couple of years, in the summer months, if I need to tap it off, I'll be able to do so. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna enjoy this German engineering while the vacuum pump is doing its job. I'll see you soon. Okay, so everything is in. There are no leaks. I've charged the system. And let me see how it's cooling inside.
those battles today. Woo. Serving as a...
Woo! Hace frío! Nice and cold. That's what I'm talking about. One last tip, when you're putting in the Freon, you need to have the engine running at about 2,000 RPM, because you'll notice the clutch engages as you're putting in the Freon and turns off. But if you keep it running at about 2,000 RPM, it'll just suck that thing just right in. What I had to do is just basically move the power seat up, use a long handle screwdriver, and MacGyver the gas pedal to keep it at around 2,000 RPM, and filled up the system, and woo! Chili Willy! We're back in business, baby. We're done. Just under 2 hours, including beer breaks. And the gauges that I bought at Harbor Freight, $54. The vacuum pump, $15. 3 cans of the R134s. I bought the better ones. They're about $19 a piece. And that's it. It beats paying $12.50 what I was quoted at the Jeep dealership. So I hope this helps you out. If you liked it, like the video, share it with your friends, and that's it. Just rock on. And generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at Black Masses. By the way, this band, War Pigs, down here in South Florida, they're really, really cool. They're a Ozzy Black Sabbath tribute band. If you ever get a chance, check them out. Really, really awesome. And again, enjoy your day, and thanks for watching.